Jason, thanks for joining us, man. It's great to visit with you.
You bet. Glad to be here.
My pleasure. So where are you joining us from?
I'm in Arlington right now at my office.
Okay.
Taking a break from work.
Right on. Well, first thing is first, you were a real cowboy long before your days as a gun-toting, bourbon-drinking, pig-killing Instagram personality. Talk a little bit about that. Is that something you did at an early age?
Yeah, I grew up around horses. My parents had race horses and riding horses, and got into high school, and they had a high school rodeo team. I went to Arlington High, had a high school rodeo team, and I was hanging out with some of those guys, and I'd been around horses my whole life. I'm like, well, this is kind of second nature. So started going to a place here in Mansfield called Cowbell Arena. You could go on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, pay $20, pick out your bull, get on it, ride, and then drive home. It's just like a practice type of thing. And so I started riding bulls, and then I felt more comfortable around horses. I've been around horses my whole life. And I mean, to be honest, riding bulls just scared the shit out of me, really. It's so I started riding bucking horses and went to high school rodeos and ended up, getting a rodeo scholarship to go to college. And then after, at my time during college, I couldn't wait for anything else but to go pro, and after college, I went and took that next step and ended up being pretty successful at it.
Yeah, so it's not something you talk a lot about on your Instagram page, but then I saw you had the honor of being elected to the Texas Rodeo Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Texas Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It was pretty neat because the guy that I rodeoed with my whole career, Pete Hawkins, we traveled together all over the world rodeo and made the NFR together and just about did everything together. And we ended up being inducted at the same time, the same year in the Texas Rodeo Hall of Fame. So it was a pretty cool day for both of us.
So, I've ridden horses a little bit here and there, mostly on like backcountry elk hunts, and like I have a bulging disc in my back. So mostly I just end up walking the horse and I get off and we just kind of hang out and are buddies. But, anyway, and everyone rides horses growing up in Texas, at least some as a kid. Now there was this one horse though, it was a real ass, and like I couldn't get him to he had this complex about he had to be at the front of the line on one of these backcountry strings, and that didn't go well for me, not having a lot of experience riding horses.
Right, you're fighting.
He couldn't be in the back of the line. He just like, no, I wanted to race to the front. I'm like trying to
always on the go, always in the bit, trying to pull against you. Yeah.
So finally the wrangler that was packing us in, he was like, here, I'll trade horses with you. And he's kind of hesitant. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So we trade horses. We get back to, we're coming out of after 7 days, we're coming off the mountain at this point. They're packing us out. And we get to the bottom of the trailhead, and his dad meets us there on a ATV, and he's like, you're on that horse? And I was like, yeah, the other one was being an asshole. And he goes, that horse bucked me off 2 weeks ago, the one that you're on now, and broke 3 of my ribs. And then the younger guy goes, yeah, I actually got that horse because he bucked a guy off and killed him 2 years ago. I was like, so I went from bad to worse, and you didn't even tell me? Like, I would have been.
Thought what you didn't know wouldn't hurt you,
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. So did you ever draw a horse that you were like, oh no, I did, this one scares cowboys?
So when you finally get to that level professionally, you crave those kind of horses, the ones that might have used to scared you whenever you were a lesser, I guess, an athlete or less skilled, because those are the ones you knew you were going to win on if you had the baddest, but your nerves would go for dang sure. You get on the bucking horse of the year that's, aired everybody out that's been on him all year long, and here's your chance to get a little glory, and you got a good chance to win. So yeah, it gets your nerves amped up, and you learn to control that kind of thing. But there were a lot of horses though that you would draw that were no fun to ride, but you couldn't win on them either. And those were the ones you just really didn't want to get on, because you knew you're just going to go get tortured, get beat up, but you didn't have a very good chance of winning because the judges weren't going to mark the horse very much. And that was just part of the sport too.
Okay. What was the worst injury you ever had?
I was pretty fortunate in that I never had any life-threatening injuries. I never went to the hospital in a ambulance, or really not on my own, power. But I really didn't have any super serious injuries. I broke my pelvis and actually just split the soft joint in the middle apart, and that was probably the most painful injury. But the ACL replacements and broken legs and arm and wrist and stuff
Just
like that.
bones. Yeah.
But that, but that's kind of the same thing, you get in football play, like guys playing football and stuff like that. But as far as super serious, internal organs and stuff like that, I was fortunate to get out without ever hurting any of that kind of stuff.
Well, I've seen some of the pictures of you, and you're wearing a cowboy hat, and I'm watching, PBR on TV today, and they're wearing freaking baseball helmets with full cages on. I'm like, I don't know, kind of like the cowboy hat look a little better.
So the difference kind of is in the bull riding, a lot of those guys, a lot of the injuries come from actually the bull hitting you in the face with the back of his head, or you get jerked down. It's called get jerked down, where you get slammed in the back of his head, and that's where a lot of the serious life-threatening, head trauma injuries come from, that are getting stepped on, and the helmet helps with both. And bull riding is kind of a finesse way of compared to like the horse events. The horse events are a little bit ranker and rougher on you. Your head's popping around, and if you had a helmet on, you need to get a neck injury because you got that extra weight on your head. Where in the bull riding, you're sitting up there and it's a balancing act, and you're not really having a whole lot of stress on your neck. So those guys wearing helmets actually, it looks cool to wear a cowboy hat, but it's actually really good for those guys. Probably saved a lot of lives, saved a lot of facial reconstructions.
Cool. Shows what I know. I was going to say, with the state of modern society, it's like, why don't they just give them participation trophies too? So
yeah, exactly.
All right. So there's definitely a reason for that. So after you got out of rodeoing, obviously you have an office, you have a business. We don't have to talk about all of that, but to me, it seems like you're just a guy that spends a lot of time tinkering with guns, drinking bourbon, smoking cigars, and killing pigs. Also do some a fair share of international hunting as well. But what is it about pigs that really attracts you? Seems like you're always after them. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of an opportunistic thing. We just have so many in Texas.
You're obviously a hunter, and you've hunted all over the place. And pig hunting, to me, I like doing it at night with thermal and night vision, and using that equipment in itself makes the hunt, so much cooler, just because you're using this cool equipment. In the dark, you're doing things that you can't normally do in the dark. You've leveled the playing field where they're normally out doing their thing. But with the shooting of pigs, just like you said, we have so many of them, and they are a very, serious problem in the state of Texas. When we have to cull whitetail deer off the ranch, we have so many permits and on the ranch, and have to cull deer. Sometimes you just hate shooting a pile of does. You kind of feel bad for them. There's sometimes with hunting, you shoot this big elk or something, you might have a little bit of, hunter's remorse afterwards. Not necessarily remorse, but you feel for the animal. You're gonna eat it,
like gratitude.
But gratitude, where with hogs, there is no sympathy at all. It's just like there's nothing to be sympathetic, right? So it's completely remorseful hunting, and remorseless hunting and shooting and stacking of bodies. And it's never ending targets. The opportunity is there because we have so many of them.
Yeah. But I do think it's important, especially, and people like not from the South don't get this. They like, oh, that's not sporting at all. It's okay. Yeah, it might not be sporting to you, but guess what? These are a pest, and this is how we deal with the problem, right? You can shoot them with thermals. You can shoot them out of a helicopter, or you can trap them. Those are really the only effective means of limiting your feral hog infestation on your property. The casual, and I get this all the time too. Oh, landowners are just assholes. They won't let me come on their property and shoot a pig. You shooting one pig while you're drinking beer on Friday night on their property isn't going to help their pig problem.
They're situation now. Yeah.
No, it's like, yeah, you have to really get some numbers. You have to stack some bodies, and like you said, thermal is a great way to do that. Thermal technology has come a long way, though. I think I've been with Pulsar 8-10 years, and it used to be I don't even remember the first night vision they gave me, but it wasn't looking through a Thermion today. It's not even close, and the price has come down, so it's something that has become more affordable for the average guy.
And even the super low end units are better than the high end. The stuff that was started with 8 years ago by far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very cool technology.
So do you actually do guided hunts?
I do. Yeah. We take guys from March through September, and then the end of September, deer season starts. The ranch is not my ranch; it's a friend's ranch. They're MLD, so their season goes from October through the end of February. And we don't really do dedicated hog hunts while he's got deer hunters in there. But after that's over, then we start cleaning up the hog population.
Okay. Well, so on more of a global perspective, you've done a lot of international hunting. I think you've done Russian brown bear hunts. I'm looking at some kind of ibex on the wall back there.
Ibex and tur, and Mongolia, Russia, Azerbaijan, and that's the European countries that I've been to. There's Spain.
Uh-huh. So what has been the best international experience you've had, and what has been the worst?
I really haven't had a bad experience. Hunting, as you know, is internationally is full of, you just got to be really patient. There's countries you go to, like, you go to African countries, you got to bribe everybody. It depends on what country you go to, but some of those countries, they still completely work on, you got to pay this guy, you got to pay this guy, and then you got to pay this guy to get your rifle permit, you got to pay this guy.
Oh yeah.
So I would say the best experience that I ever had was basically any time that I've ever got to be in Africa. When I was in college, I started reading Red Capstick, one of his books for the first time. And obviously you probably read Capstick. So, it was a captivating writer that a lot of alliteration. You felt like you're actually there, and I was like, I can't wait. That's where I got to go. I mean, I'm going to join the charitable association so I can go over there and build some huts and maybe end up shooting something, like that. But anyway, I just truly love the African, the culture and the people, and just seeing a place that is so incredibly backwards from the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, so what is left on your international bucket list? Or it could be North American, I don't know if you've shot a moose or something like that.
I really like the mountain hunts. There's another species of tur and some other species of ibex that I'd like to go. Those hunts, you get up there in the top of those mountains and you feel like you're the only person in the world, and the solitude and the accomplishment after it's over, whenever you realize what you did. You halfway up a mountain and you're like, I can't go another step. And then 2 or 3 hours later, you're at the top of the mountain and you just feel a sense of self-worth and like you really did something to earn your animal, if you're fortunate enough to end up getting one.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Instagram, because you texted me like 2 weeks ago and you said the words that I think they're coming for all of us. It's just a matter of time. But you were like, hey, they deleted my page. And you said you hadn't even posted in what, like 3 days or something?
Yeah, 2 days I hadn't made a post.
So and no warning or anything?
No, I was just surfing around on there, and a white screen with a rotating dial in the middle popped up, and it did that for about 10 seconds, like something was or 5 seconds, like something was buffering. And then it said, your content does not follow our guidelines. Your page is at warning or risk of being deleted, blah, blah, blah. Here's how you can maybe able to get your page back. So I had to fill out just like a phone number and personal information. And then it said they'll be in contact in 24 hours. And basically within an hour, 24 hours later, I was able to log in the account again. And it took me to the help center where you could file a dispute. I filed a dispute, and within about 4 or 5 hours, the page came back. Somebody else told me, I started a backup page, and somebody on that backup page said, hey, your page is back up. And so I just went ahead and really I've kind of quit posting super graphic or controversial things because I ran the business from that page, the hog hunting business,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't want to lose it. And I just posted guns. Every time that I had a warning about deleted posts, it was for sale of illegal goods or goods not allowed, which was guns and ammo by Instagram, because you can't sell guns and ammo on Instagram. Yeah. And I don't sell guns to anyone, much less on Instagram.
My guns are mine.
Exactly. I'm not going to sell them to anybody else.
They use the term regulated goods because that's what I've gotten on my page.
Regulated goods. That's it. Yeah.
Which I've never sold guns or ammo on there either. So,
yeah. So, I got the page back. And then last Friday, I posted a picture of a new McWhorter rifle and a cigar, and there was a box of ammo there. And about an hour after I posted that, it said that your page has been disabled again. And that was on Friday. I
didn't even know that.
What's that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's gone again. That happened on Friday.
It's gone right now as we're talking.
The backup page is still there, but the other one's gone, my original page.
How many followers did you have?
45,000.
A lot. Okay. Yeah.
And I haven't got it back yet. It doesn't say that it's been deleted. It just says your page is disabled.
Huh.
I filed the discrepancy or whatever, but I haven't heard anything.
But they never gave you, so they just said regulated goods. So they just don't like the fact that you post a lot of pictures of guns, essentially.
I'm assuming, yeah. I don't know.
Wow. I obviously hope that you get it back, and if you don't, we'll try to get your followers back up to where they need to be, where they should be. All that content, though, years worth of, a lot of it's educational stuff too,
And I actually said that in part of the, in the discrepancy deal that I've, filed or dispute, that, that a lot of the things that I try and do on that or try to be educational about, things that I didn't want to list, gunsmithing or like that. But that was what I was getting at with that is, there's a lot of stuff and a lot of resource information that you could look back and get from, the 2,500 posts or whatever that were on that page.
Yeah. Oh, that's insanity. I got last week, I had, and I know you saw it, but I posted this picture of this cull buck. He would be a great buck for Henry to shoot, real gnarly. And I said the word, hey, I think it was like, do you think this buck will make antler restrictions? Because he's not very wide, right? But he sure is cool. He'd make a great first buck. I said I'd even shoot him myself if he walked out towards the end of the season. And then they've deleted within 20 minutes. That post was deleted. On all it was a picture of a deer saying,
yeah, standing next to the feeder. Yeah, I saw
right.
It, yeah.
And they said the word shoot. I think that's how they flagged it, right? They said this post goes against our community guidelines for promoting harm or coordinating crime. Promoting harm to what? Legally hunting a deer?
An animal, right?
But yet I can go and dude, there's this other page someone sent me. There's like, I can't believe they deleted your post, but here's what they allow on their platform. And the page is called the N-word doing SHS word. So,
yeah. And
it's just them killing each other. Yep. Murder after murder. And it's not all black people, it's white people too. It's just, but the name of the page is offensive as hell. And then you look at the content and it's human on human assault, battery, murder. One guy I saw get shot in the head. The guy rips him out of his trunk, shoots him point blank in the head, and then runs over him in his car 2 times just to make sure he's good and dead. And they allow that stuff on their platform. And then guys like you and I are getting censored for educational hunting content. It's mind blowing, dude. We're not even playing on a level playing field.
Yeah, I mean it all, and it's been like this for so long. I'm sure your page has a huge following, but I'm sure that if the shadow bans and all of that stuff was back to where it was 5 years ago, you'd have 1 million followers by now on your page. I would, but nowadays there's no way a page doing what we can do, like you'll never be able to grow, like you could 5 or 6 years ago.
I've been at 145 for 10 months. I don't lose, but I can't. They don't let me get any traction.
Don't let you get any traction, yeah.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's absurd, man. What's going on there? So like I said, I didn't know your page was gone again. absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how they pick and choose, because there's plenty of other pages like ours that, like, so why Jason's page? I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason. It seems like they're just making up the rules as they go. And we don't even know what the rules are. They're telling you you're selling guns when you're not.
Yeah, and there's no explanation. It's just like, here's what we say it is, and you just have to take it or leave it, or you take it or take it, because that's how it works.
So I don't use Twitter a lot, but this ties right into our conversation. Last night, Instagram follower said, "Hey, your Twitter's hacked." I go over there today, and it's now a porn page. And
really,
and I think I have 4,000 followers, but I mean I do use it, not religiously. I can't keep up with that in Instagram and Facebook, so that's kind of like the one that I don't pay attention to the most. But yeah, now it's a porn page, and I've emailed Twitter like, "Hey, I can't get my page back. They're like, "Well, log in and change your password." I'm like, they changed everything. Like, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, here's the page that I own. Here's my followers. They deleted all my tweets, deleted everything, but this is my page. I haven't heard back from them. So I doubt once they look at the content that's on there, where it's all, anti-wokeism stuff, that they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, let's give this guy his page back."
Exactly right.
They're probably gonna be like, "Oh, more porn. That's better." Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, so what hunts do you have planned coming up for this fall?
Really, I don't. I've got a lease up in the Panhandle of Texas, where we've got mule deer, whitetail, and aoudad free ranging in the cap rocks up there. So I was up there this weekend, saw a bunch of aoudad and pretty decent mule deer buck, and so that's basically all I've got on the books for this season.
So that's where I've seen quite a few aoudad on your page over the years.
Yeah,
so that's
they all come up there.
Yeah, awesome.
There's a pocket in these cap rocks of probably about, I don't know, 6 or 8 square miles that have a pretty large population of them, and then they don't really wander outside that area. So,
you do a bit of long range shooting, right?
I do. That's really what I'm most passionate about when it comes to shooting.
So when you travel to Europe and stuff like that, you're shooting these animals at pretty far distances.
Yeah, most of the time it ends up being that way. It's not like I've taken shots that I couldn't have waited on and got closer. They were out of necessity.
Right.
So the long range shooting that I do all year long really comes in handy. 696 yards is the longest shot I've made on an international hunt, and that was a tur in Azerbaijan.
Okay. And so what is your favorite long range caliber, and why is it the 6.5 Creedmoor?
because everyone says the 6.5 Creedmoor, right? Yeah. The big 338s, the Pua. I have an Edge. I'm having a 338 Norma built right now, and they're all essentially the same. A 300 grain bullet at about 2,850 feet per second, and it just kills the wind. And out there beyond 1,000, beyond 1,500, past a mile, it just keeps on going and stays supersonic a long time, so you don't go through the transition where bullets start tumbling and stuff like that for a distance, and you can see your hits. The way that I practice long range shooting is up there in the Panhandle, in the cap rock country, where you've got infinity targets. You can get on a cap rock and you can look in any direction and use your rangefinder, and you can find something from 2,000 or 3,000 yards to 400 yards, and you just pick, oh, there's a rock right there, and you shoot, and you see where your hits land, whether they land on the rock or whether they land in the ground next to the rock. But that big bullet hitting makes it easier for you to follow your shots, and you can see the going through the air when the conditions are right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is a big bullet. Do you think that that's very common for the long range aficionados?
Yeah, the big 338s are big 30 caliber. The 6.5 caliber is a really high ballistic coefficient bullet, but it runs out of steam out there a ways, and so the big 30 calibers and the big 338s, I think, are kind of where most of those guys go with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, when I look at like the competitive match shooting, the long range stuff, it seems like it's 6.5, it's 300 Win Mag, and it's 7 Mag. generally speaking. Are they not shooting in those matches? They're not shooting out as far as you're talking about.
What you run into also with those things is recoil, and most of those matches, I think they do allow suppressed guns in some of them, but even with a break, the 338 is hard for you to see your hits. Even the big 300s too, it's hard for you to see your hits, which is real important for those guys to be able to have a low enough recoil level that they can stay on the scope and see their bullet impact and see where they miss, so they know how to correct for the next shot. So the big 338s for those guys is kind of, it's outside the realm of what they need to do those competitions.
So what is your favorite Texas whitetail caliber? It's a loaded question because everyone has their own, but
yeah, I honestly, I don't really have a favorite caliber. Whatever gun looks shiniest that day is out there, but I probably use 6.5 284 or the 300 more than anything else.
Yeah, I love my 300 Win Mag personally. It's
yeah, I mean, you can do it. It's, if I had to pick one caliber to do everything with for the rest of my life, and if it's the only thing that I got to use, it'd be a 300 Win Mag.
Yeah. But hey, I still like the 270 for certain places where my shots are inside 200 yards. And
yeah. It's good low recoil rifle.
Yeah. So let's see if I had anything else for you today. Oh yeah, of course, bourbon. So they're not going to delete your page for posting bourbon and cigars, but usually there's a gun mixed in there that gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
You have a very nice bourbon collection. When did you first start liking bourbon? Because I don't think everyone, when they turn 21, it's like, oh yeah, I like bourbon now. It's more like, oh, I graduated from Keystone to Miller Lite.
Exactly. Yeah. 2000 and the end of 2016. And before that, I had no interest in bourbon. Crown and Coke, rye and Coke is what I had drank. That was the drink. And in 2016, my parents have racehorses, and we were in Ruidoso, and they had a horse that won the All-American Futurity. It's a big racehorse, biggest racehorse, quarter horse race in the world. And I wanted to get something nice to celebrate. So I'm like, well, I've heard of Pappy Van Winkle, and I'm going to get some of this. We're going to see what it's all about and celebrate this deal. And then I started Googling it, and saw the price, and I nearly had a heart attack. And that was prices then. It's nearly tripled now in the last 5 years or so. But so I got a bottle of 10-year Pappy. It was old Rip Van Winkle. It's not the full on Pappy Van Winkle, their 10-year version. And so I started reading up on it and started developing a little bit of palate for it. And it just kind of took off.
Well, so, okay. Pappy's, like you said, that's going to be a very expensive bottle today, a lot more than it was, because bourbon, especially with COVID, it became like even more so. I have buddies that don't hunt, but they text me and they're like, I went hunting today, and they just send me what they scored at the liquor store bourbon wise. One guy, he gets me a couple nice bottles, and I shoot him a deer every year, and we do some old school frontier bartering. So in your opinion, as someone that I would trust, and I love bourbon, my favorite bang for your buck right now is the Old Forester Prohibition. Like, just what you can get at a store. Like, hey, I can walk into X liquor store and maybe have a chance of finding this. What is your favorite, bang for your buck? You're not going to break the bank. That's easily accessible bourbon.
The 1920 that you were just talking about.
Okay.
1920.
Yeah.
That's what, people say, hey, what's a great bottle of bourbon that costs $200? I want to give somebody. Well, you can tell somebody that, but they'll never be able to find that bottle of bourbon.
Right.
But when somebody says, what can I go in there and buy for, decent money, 50, 60 bucks, maybe 70, if that's what it costs, that I know I'm going to be able to find, it's Old Forester 1920, the Prohibition style.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm really surprised that that's not an allocated bourbon. I mean, it's such a great drink.
Yeah, it's so smooth, and it's also like what is it, 115 proof or something like
117, that? 117, I think. Yeah.
117. Yeah.
117 or 114. Yeah. One of the other.
Oh, yeah. It's delicious. If you haven't had it, well, we both agree that's the one to try to find. which you shouldn't have a hard time finding it. Hey, if you want to give for now, everyone your backup page, since you are
Yes, sir.
dealing with this crap.
It's Jason_Jeter_, and has a picture of a guy smoking a cigar on top of a mountain in Russia.
Yeah. I'm not even going to try to talk cigars with you. You're way out of my league on that. I'm just like, give me the one that doesn't give me a like the cigars give me a hangover worse than alcohol ever did. And
yeah,
the Robustos, I'm out completely. I mean, I can't even do the dark ones. Like, no way. Hangover for me.
The Maduros. Yeah.
Maduro. Sorry. Yeah. Nope. Can't do them. I'd like to think that I could, and I like the way they taste, but no allergies.
Yeah.
But well, cool. Y'all give Jason a follow. Hopefully the other page will come back up. I hate that you're dealing with that crap. Everyone that speaks their mind, speaks the truth, and likes the Second Amendment, I think is we're all in for some kind of retribution here from big tech, because they don't like us.
But yeah, I hate to hear that, but I agree with you completely.
Right on, man. Well, hey, I appreciate it, and we'll have to get together and do a hunt sometime, and have a glass of bourbon or 3.
We'll do it, Cable. Thanks for having me on your show. I appreciate that.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, keep in touch, man.